Hello and welcome back to another Unity 3D tutorial. This time around we'll be taking a look at the particle system and some of its key features. So to start off I have a basic blank scene setup with just the standard assets. We won't actually be using the game view this time around, so you can go ahead and close that just to get a larger viewing area. Okay, to start off with, right click in the hierarchy and select Effects, then Particle System. This will create this live particle system in the scene that can be modified and changed around. You can quite clearly see that this particle system doesn't have any sort of physics system tied to it, and that's why when I move, rotate, or even change the size, everything seems to stay in formation. Okay, so this down here is the particle effects controller, which can be used to pause, play, and stop the particle system. We're also able to modify the playback speed and change the current playback time from here, allowing us to see the particles in a different way and give the user more variation. Now for some of the main stuff. Here I have the particle system I created, and you can see that when I click off it, it seems to freeze as if it was somehow stuck in time. So for example, if I wanted to have multiple particle systems play at the same time in this scene view, I would have to use the parent and child method inside of the hierarchy. You can now see that when I right click and create a new particle system on top of the old one, the system is now a child of the other system, and both of these particles will play at the same time. With the two systems now moving together, we can try create a third system outside of this hierarchy to illustrate what will actually happen in the scene view. As seen before, this system is its own thing and will play independently of the other two unless placed inside of their main hierarchy. This actual hierarchy system can be great for separating different particles, as well as layering different individual effects together to create new and interesting effects. Okay, so now I want to go a bit more in depth on some of the more useful options when creating new and unique particle systems. As you can see here on the right, we have a number of different options that relate to the system and how to change it, and one that I want to show off here is the gravity modifier. As you can see, this is a number value based option which allows me to add gravity to this specific system. The higher the number, the bigger gravitational force pulling the particles down. Next I want to take a look at the simulation space property, and this option is what controls the actual position of each particle. We can see that if I change this to world, the particle system will react in the world space instead of the original local space, letting us have particles that react with the environment around them. Another interesting value on here is the start colour property, which can be set as one colour, between two different colours, a random colour, or a set gradient, and this will change the actual colour of whatever particle is selected at the time. The 3D start size is another property that is quite useful when it comes to modifying the particle's appearance. This lets us change the size of the particle's X, Y, and Z properties, and just like here, I am able to make a simple looking smoke effect by just making the particles larger in size. And here I want to show off a few of these properties in action. These are only a few simple changes, but with additional knowledge we can produce some amazing effects. One more useful property is the simulation speed, which can be changed to make the simulation as a whole slower or faster in order to see what particles might look like in different play settings. The emission property controls the production of the particles and can be turned off to obviously stop the particles from coming out. From here we're also able to change the rate at which the effect is produced over time to create and increase the effect. You might not have noticed this, but these particles are actually coming out in a sort of invisible cone shape, but what shape this is can be dictated inside of the shape's property. We can see that if I widen the top, the particles start to disperse more as their shape range has been changed. We're also able to change the shape from a cone to a number of different things, such as a box, donut, sphere, and we can even use the mesh of a 3D object imported into Unity. The size of a lifetime property is a very useful one to have, and can allow us to get a number of effects in the same way that smoke disperses over time. We can see here how the size of it is picked depending on the graph's curve setting, which range from flat, small to large, large to small, and even a custom curve set by the user. Noise is something we can apply to the particles that will create a random obscure pattern, creating a very weird random-like effect on the individual particles. Inside its properties, we are also able to change the strength of the noise to create a more violent bouncy effect. Collision is obviously a big thing in games, and the particle system can take advantage of this as well. Using the collision property, we are able to create and add a simple plane into the scene, and by dragging it into the particle's properties, we can see that the system is now affected by this plane. The collision system is great, for example. It can be used to make sparks bounce off an electricity box, or even make a water effect collide with a wall. So this whole time I've been using this simple default particle shape, and this is also very easy to change. Just like a normal material in Unity, I've created this Unity logo material, which I'm now going to add to the particle by just dropping it in. All of the previous properties can still be changed even with this new material, allowing for a number of custom shapes. Okay, so I just want to show off the kind of stuff we can achieve in the Unity engine. I've gone ahead and installed the default particle assets by just going to Assets, Import Package, and the Particle System. The Unity system gives us a bunch of prefabs, with this first one being the Dust Storm, which uses a box shape and the colour over lifetime property. This one is the Fire Particle, which is actually made up of both a smoke and glow property to achieve this effect. Next up we have the Firework, which uses a massive 7 different systems made up of smoke, trails, and explosions over time. Here is the Flare using a super small cone shape, and then the Smoke effect. Both of these are made up from a smoke effect in some way, obviously using different colours. And finally we have the Steam effect. This one is very similar to the Smoke effect and is using a world space modifier and rotation over lifetime. Okay, cool. Well, I hope this tutorial could help you learn the setup and key features of the particle system. This system is something I've experimented around with and can produce some amazing effects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.